Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Wow, that is some rather raw black metal, if I do say so myself. It's episode 96 of Radio Free Intimate. This week, we're going to talk about a band that put out an awesome album in the year 1996. See what I did there? 96. It's like a little bit of a thing. Whatever, don't worry about it. Fucking Unanimated from Sweden. If you haven't heard them, this is what they sound like. Here you can see Jonas and Johan and Peter doing what they're very well known for, which is apparently very low-pitched, down-tuned, mid-paced groove riffs. Something's up here. This doesn't seem quite right.
진짜 저번에 해외 꼭 그렇게 가고 싶다 했는데 같이 못 가가지고.
Yeah, that was Unleashed, not Unanimated. Wrong Unband, alright. So anyways, Unanimated is a well-known melodic, blackened death metal band. Wow, there's some melodic stuff. Recorded in Unisound Studios, no less, by Dan Svano, who I'm sure everybody knows who that is. This is a lot faster and more brutal than I remember Unanimated being. Where's all the bluesy guitar influence, all the Sabbath stuff? Is this the right thing?
이번에 처음으로 우리 트와이스 멤버들 다 같이 여행 온 거.
Wrong Unban again. That was Uncanny. Jesus Christ, how many fucking Unbans are there for Sweden? You got like Uncanny, Unanimated, Unleashed, Uncurbed. It's a regular uns.com over there in Stockholm. Huh? Come on, that's hilarious. You know that shit's fucking funny. Uns.com, Uncanny, Unanimated. It's good stuff, people. Nobody's laughing out there. Thank you very much. That does wonders for my self-esteem. So, Unanimated formed way back in the early 90s by Jonas Mellberg, Johan Bolin, and Peter Stjarnvind, who did other bands since Unanimated. I want to say Jonas or Johan was in Therion at one point, and Peter's drummed for just about everybody. But this is like way back in 1993, and they are one of the first melodic black death Swedish metal type bands, you know, that like dissection type stuff. These guys were contemporaries of that, but they had a slightly different way of doing things. It's kind of evil tremolo riff. Very ahead of its time for 1993. Still holds up today. You notice the second guitar is sort of hitting these backing chords very hard to give it more of a darker, melancholic feeling. That would be a trademark of Unanimated from this point onward. But here's where they get weird. It's not just the same sort of Iron Maiden, Thin Lizzy stuff you hear at a dissection. There's also a healthy dose of pentatonic melodies with a bit of a Black Sabbath feel to it. This very bluesy solo, but then they have that Peter Stjarnvind bass drumming under it, that rolling double bass, very unique sound. And of course, very evil vocals. This is called Blackness of the Fallen Star. It's the second full song on In the Forest of the Dreaming Dead, that first Unanimated album. That little transition riff at the end, they do some interesting stuff with it later in the song, a bit of variation on that idea in sort of like a tech thrash way. They like turned it inside out and made it all weird sounding. I like it. Very bendy, very evil sounding. Which makes sense, the album's called In the Forest of the Dreaming Dead. That's pretty fucking brutal. Speaking of brutal, here's some primitive black metal riffs with blast beats under them. But then when we get to their second album, the original bassist is out and they hire a guy named Richard Cabeza, who also was in Dismembered and was famous for doing stuff like this. Very melodic and melancholic bass lines, taking almost sort of a lead melodic role in the music, which leads to an interesting counterpoint with the other instruments and a greater degree of separation between what each thing is doing. That second Dismembered album is a little bit underrated nowadays, but I think it was actually their best-selling album, if I remember correctly. Good stuff. So when you bring that sort of thing into Unanimated, which already had all like the spooky melodic shit and like the weird idiosyncratic blues guitarisms, you get something on that second album, the 1996 one, Ancient God of Evil, that sounds a little bit like this. So it's definitely melodic death metal or whatever, but a very different style of it than what anybody else has done before or since. Really good drumming from Peter too. A lot of atmospheric tom work, and then that idea they had on the first album of how to interlock double guitar lines very much came to fruit on this album. And of course the vocals are absolutely throat shredding and such. This is almost like the platonic form of how this melodic black metal shit is supposed to be done. But at the time, they weren't really like copying off a template from anywhere. They were inventing the template, which meant that they got to experiment with that sort of sound layering you might have heard earlier in that Dismember song. It is expounded upon considerably in later tracks on this Unanimated album. Gotta have some acoustic guitar on your Swedish black metal, melodic death metal, whatever the fuck album. It's very important for the genre. And it sounds really cool. There's some more keyboards. I think those were actually played by Dan Sfano since it was recorded in Unisound. Check out that atmospheric drum work, the sort of marching beats, that little tom roll there. And then these layers of bar chords through which this lead guitar line snakes. And of course the very melodic bass lines. Richard Cabeza is really good at doing that. He's highly underrated. I would compare him to B-War from Marduk, who did some similarly interesting melodic bass work in the Marduk albums that he was on. Oh, check that out. There's like blackened thrash riffs too. Very Destruction and Bathory-esque. They do a really good job of weaving together these disparate influences with their more melodic, emotional stuff. Like this. This almost sounds like a Catatonia riff from around the same time period. Or, not like they're ripping them off, but it could have been on a Catatonia album. Especially with the way he's arranged his vocals. There's some good stuff. Gotta like them melodic tremolo riffs. So Unanimated. I want to say one of the CKY guys actually put them on a compilation also with Amorphous' Black Winter Day song. So evidently that guy had pretty darn good taste in melodic death metal. Or melodic black metal, however you want to call it. It sort of exists in this strange nebulous gray area between Dark Tranquility and Dissection. That kind of shit. You know what I'm talking about. So I'll see you around, everybody.
Oh, you're leaving?